So goalkeeper was probably the trickiest one, just because when you play wildcard this late, it's almost like they're going to be the set and forget. And actually narrowed it down to Forster and Mendy or Leno and Martinez in the end, because I think Leno and Martinez fixtures intertwined. So it was either them two or plunging with Mendy and then Forster the odd game. I think he's only got 2 good fixtures between now and the end of the season. I actually went for that, despite the fixture at the week at the West Brom game at the weekend. I still think Mendy's the standout keeper option if you're playing your wild card now.
Yeah, I think those two combine to be quite a bit cheaper than Leno and Martinez as well, don't they? So yeah, I'm not going to argue on that. So that's
in defence. This is where you're probably going to hate me for the extra team value. At the moment, I've got Aspilicueta, Diaz, Alexander-Arnold, Shaw, and Rob Holding, who looks like he's now going to play, isn't he, with David Luiz? You think he had a knee operation, so Holding's almost like the 5th defender if he needs to be. But yeah, I think them 4, you're tapping into, I won't say United, but the top 3 defenses. Well, Liverpool actually, the top 2 defenses, and then probably the 2 most exciting attacking fullbacks in Alexander-Arnold and Shaw in terms of FPL.
Yeah, so obviously that is annoying that you can afford all that with the rest of the players you've got. So yeah, what I'd say to people is, if you don't have 107 million like Callum, you could maybe look at having someone cheaper other than Shaw if he's going to be on the bench most weeks, or the obvious downgrade is Phillips instead of Alexander-Arnold if you want that bargain basement route into the Liverpool defence. So yeah, Aspilicueta definitely looks the best option at Chelsea, especially after that Rudiger bust up. And you know, you've said why you want Diaz earlier on. So yeah.
So, yeah, my only concern about Aspilicueta would be if Chelsea start to progress in the Champions League, so they get through to the semis, and then they've already sealed top 4, but it looks like they're now going to have to start winning a few games in the Premier League. So I think they'll still play the best team.
And then, yeah, just one quick thing to mention on City is they blanked, don't they, in 33? So just factor that in with your team planning if you're including a City player in your wild card.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's Spurs, Tottenham, Spurs, Southampton, Fulham, and City. Because I actually looked at Lloris Forster at one point, but yeah, 33 would have been a write-off. Midfield, I actually think probably the easiest one to pick. So Fernandes, Jota, Salah, Son, Lingard, just because the City's midfielders we've talked about, I just wouldn't know who to get. And then Son, you want for the 32 double game week. Jota, probably now emerging, probably the best value player in the game. We know how good he was early on in the season, and he came off to score twice at the weekend, so you'd fancy him to keep up. And then I've had Salah all season. I don't think I'll change. Fernandes, yeah, and we talked about Lingard already.
So yeah, because this will be a standalone clip, won't it? We'll just quickly say on Lingard that yeah, you kind of said you're favouring how he looks in games, like compared to his stats and his XG and whatnot. But would Neto or someone like that like compete for that position for you? Like, 'cause it saves a few million, that, doesn't it? What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, we talked before the podcast, didn't we, about Neto, and I'm just a bit reluctant to get on anyone from Wolves at the moment. I know Neto looked quite good on Monday. He missed a glorious chance actually that would have gotten a goal, but I'm just a bit reluctant to tap into that Wolves team just for the way they're playing. I know they've got great fixtures now on paper, and I think before the West Ham game, I probably would have got a defender in at the minimum. It was drafting beforehand that game. Probably had Cody in or someone like that. But I just don't think they could be trusted. No games are gimme them for them at the way they're playing at the moment. So yeah, probably stay clear from Neto. I mean, yeah, probably won't go near him.
I mean, wouldn't go near him is harsh. I think he's a definite option still with the fixtures. Because yeah, so I was just going to say for people who do, because not everyone. There are some managers who like religiously favour fixtures over form, and like so if you are that kind of manager, you might prefer Neto over Lingard. It's just what I'd throw in.
If you could get the power four, Fernandes, Jota, Salah, and Son, and you needed someone cheaper to kind of get that in, I'd probably say Smith Rowe is probably the option, strong option at 4.2, because I was reading stat before with Saka and Smith Rowe in the team, Arsenal's win percentage goes significantly up, and I know he's been injured, but he's not out for too long, so he'll probably want to go to 4.2. He's a great enabler, isn't he, at that price?
Fair play. Right, and then the strikers.
I mean, Kane picks for himself. If you're playing a wildcard and not playing Kane, you're a maverick at the very least. Iheanacho, who this time last week I would have been very, very sweet on after his run of, was it 6 goals in 5 games, something? But we talked just in an early segment about he might now, he's probably 1 or 2 bad games away from being outside. I know he came off against City, which is no discredit to him, but if he doesn't play well against West Ham and then the game after, then with Maddison and Barnes coming back, he might be outside, but I think he's worth the gamble at 5.8. He's earned to play that West Ham game at the very least. I'd be very surprised if he didn't play that. It'd be harsh. So yeah, probably still would go Iheanacho. The only alternative would be Vardy, but he's 5 million more, so you'd have to sacrifice some money elsewhere. And then I've got, you'll be loving it, I finally ran out of money. I've got Keenan Davis as the other forward. So I haven't got a complete super team. There is money somewhere. There is fodder players somewhere. We've talked all season about the forwards not being too great. I'd rather invest in the midfield. So that's the reason I've gone for that.
Gosh, we best put a plea into Bernardo's. Callum can't afford a premium player for the third option on his bench. What has the world come to?
The only option, I think, a bit more expensive was Vidra, who's played last few games for Burnley, but I'd have to sacrifice money elsewhere. And am I really that arsed about getting 0.6 back of my team to get Matej Vidra in? Probably not. But I've seen a lot of drafts with Vidra in, so he probably, if I had a bit of more money, he'd be the one. I wouldn't be having Keenan Davis, but I've run out of money.
Okay.